Hi, I'm Ava Goulet, and today I am going to teach you about dowsing rods, which is one of my favorite divination tools that I use on a regular basis. Now, dowsing rods have been used for centuries to help people find water, to know where to dig their wells, or to find lost objects, or even to detect energy fields in certain environments. I'm going to teach you today some basic usages for the dowsing rods, or uses for the dowsing rods. And I'm going to show you a couple of pairs of them, and then I'm going to show you how to make them. So dowsing rods typically today are metal rods that are bent at 90-degree angles, and you hold them in your hands. Let me backtrack. They have a sleeve over the handle end of the dowsing rods that moves very freely. And that's what you hold in your hands. And you hold them in your hands lightly so they can move freely in your hands. So I'm going to show you a couple of pairs of dowsing rods. These are professional grade dowsing rods, and I use those when I'm doing some adult workshops or when I'm trying to sense energy in a particular place. I also do work with a lot of children and adults in the program I teach called Spirit Camp for kids and adults. And for those, I use dowsing rods that I make out of coat hangers and drinking straws, which you can see here. So to begin this workshop, I'm going to show you how you can make dowsing rods super easy and quickly. You need basically very simple tools. You need two metal coat hangers that are straight on the bottom edge, that there's not a big curve in them. You need a pair of wire cutters, whoops, a pair of needle nose pliers, and a couple of drinking straws. Very simple. So I'm going to take the wire cutters and cut the coat hanger at the bottom ends. And I make a lot of coat hangers because this is a really fun adult workshop to do, teaching people how to make these and use them as their own divination tools. So now I have a straight edge, a straight wire. I'm going to take my needle nose pliers, and what I'm going to be making right now is the hook at the bottom, so the straw doesn't fall off. So I just hold the tip of the wire, squeeze it hard in my pliers, and I don't want to hold up here because as I'm bending the wire, as I'm bending it to make the hook, I don't want to bend the wire so it will be crooked when I want to use it as a dowsing rod. So I just use my wrist and my hand to just pull down, and I've created the hook that goes on the bottom. And then I took a drinking straw and I cut it to about 4 inches. You don't even have to measure. I had a drinking straw that had like this bend on the top. I didn't want that to be on my handle, so I just cut it off. It's maybe 3.5 or 4 inches long. I slide that onto the hook end, and now I keep that hook end facing me, and I hold the dowsing rod in my hand, or the coat hanger in my hand. It's not a dowsing rod yet. I'll take my needle nose pliers again, about a 1/2 inch above where the straw ends. I want it to have freedom of movement, remember, so it can go up and down easily. And then I'm gonna hold tight on the bottom, and then I'm gonna use my wrist action here to help make it a 90-degree angle. So now I'm just gonna bend it over. That looks like about a 90-degree angle. I'll show you how I measure my 90-degree angles. I just take a notebook that has a 90-degree angle, and I make sure that it is at a 90-degree angle. And this one is, it's hard for you to see on here, but I've made enough of these so I feel like I have a really good sense for when it hits the 90-degree angle. So now it moves freely in my hand as I'm holding onto the straw. So I'm going to go back to holding two of the wires. So this is what they look like when I have finished a complete set of them, and they move freely in my hands. So now that you know how to make your own set of dowsing rods, let's figure out how to use them. So it's really important to ground yourself first before using the dowsing rods, just as you would if you were going to be using a pendulum as a divination tool. So I encourage you to just take a moment to feel your feet flat on the floor, whether you're sitting or standing, and just take a couple of deep cleansing breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And let's just do one more. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, focus on your feet. And if your feet are in full contact with the floor, imagine you have roots growing out of the soles of your feet. If you are sitting down and your feet do not have contact with the floor, you can imagine that your sit bones, your tailbone, has roots coming straight out and down into Mother Earth. So whether your roots are coming out of your body through the soles of your feet or from your tailbone, just see those roots going deeper and deeper down into the earth, connecting with the energy of Mother Earth. They go deeper and deeper, and as they extend further into the earth, they multiply, they become smaller and smaller, just as the roots of a tree do as they extend down further and further into the earth. And as they reach the center of the earth, there'll be a big central stone or boulder. Think of it as a huge, gigantic boulder. And those little teeny tiny roots are now starting to wrap their way around the boulder. And you gently feel a slight tug on the roots as that energy from Mother Earth starts climbing up those roots all the way up through the various layers of the earth, directly into the soles of your feet and into your body, connecting you to the beautiful, peaceful, calming, healing energy of Mother Earth. And whenever you feel comfortable to do so, go ahead and open your eyes. All right, so now that we've taken a moment to ground ourselves, let's take our dowsing rods in our hands. And we need to find a neutral position. So a neutral position when you're working with the dowsing rod is when the wires are parallel to each other. It's hard to see this on a computer, but they're parallel to each other, and they're also parallel to the floor. So they're not pointing down towards the floor or up towards the ceiling. If they were pointing up towards the ceiling, they would just flop open behind me like this. And if they're pointing down towards the floor, they kind of just move freely, but they don't really give you any clear indication of answers. So when I have new people that are trying this for the first time, I encourage them to keep their elbows at their sides to create an additional foundation of stability for them to be able to hold the dowsing rods without feeling like their arms are unsteady and moving around. So I invite people to lock their elbows at their sides and then hold the dowsing rods very gently in their fingertips, and make sure that you're not allowing your index fingers to be touching the wire up at the top, because that will impact the ability of the dowsing rods to be able to move freely. And you want to be really gentle with your grip, because if you're holding really tight, they're not going to be able to move. See, I'm holding really tight right now. So once you have established your gentle, I don't want to say grip, but the way you are gently holding them, move them to the neutral position, which will be directly in front of you, parallel to the floor and parallel to each other. This is neutral for me right here. It's kind of tricky because of my camera angle, the monitor angle. It's a little bit tricky. I'm not sure if you're seeing this neutral. I'm going to stand this way and see if you can see it any easier. Not sure. So I'm in neutral position right now. So actually, I think it was better this way. I'm going to come back. I'm going to ask my pendulum, my dowsing rods, I'm sorry, if they'll show me what a yes will look like if I ask them a question and the answer is yes. So please show me a yes. So my dowsing rods will cross in front of me. So now I'll thank them for communicating with me. Thank you. And return to neutral. And now show me what a no will look like. And for me, a no is when the dowsing rods open. So I can say thank you. So I have my yes and my no now. And what you can do is, if you're a person who's new to using dowsing rods, you can ask yourself a series of questions for answers that you already know, and just kind of build up your confidence in trusting you and your dowsing rods to access accurate information for you. For me, this is a tool that connects directly to my higher wisdom. So I trust the answers that I receive because I know I'm bypassing my logical mind, my analytical mind, and I'm going right to source energy for me. So let's say, for instance, I want to ask, is my name Ava? And I get a yes. So now I'm going to ask, is my name Diane? And I get a no. I would keep playing with the dowsing rods if this were my first time, just playing with questions that I know the answers of, because then I can see that the dowsing rods are giving me accurate answers. And then I'm going to move on to the next exercise with dowsing rods, because I find this is really fun and entertaining. I like to hold my dowsing rods in the neutral position, and then I invite my students to think of something they absolutely love and see how the dowsing rods respond to it. Okay, so I'll tell you what I was thinking of. I just taught this amazing class with children a couple of days ago, and I was filled with so much joy and happiness and love, and just so thrilled that I get to celebrate this work that I do with children all the time. And I just left with such a full heart at the end of that class. So that's what I was thinking of when my dowsing rods responded by crossing, which to me is like a yes answer, or this is something that is really positively influencing my life. So now I'm going to show you what happens when I think of something that I really detest. I don't like to use the word hate, something I dislike strongly or detest. So I'm going to go back and find the neutral position again. Okay, now I'm going to think of something I don't like. And there they go. So I'll tell you what I was thinking about. Ticks. I live in a place where ticks are really, really prevalent. Whenever you go in the woods, you have to be doing a tick check all the time when you exit the woods. So, and I, find ticks on my body and stuff, and I really don't like ticks at all. So that was what I was thinking of when my dowsing rods opened. So dowsing rods can pick up your thoughts. Like we talk about how powerful our thoughts are and how we need to be paying attention to the thoughts we're thinking because there is so much energy even around the thoughts that we're thinking. This is a perfect lesson in how an object like the dowsing rods can pick up what we are thinking about and respond to them. So if the dowsing rods can pick up that energy and respond to them, think about what it's doing to the rest of our body, because we are energetic beings and we are taking on the energy of everything around us. And when we're thinking thoughts like that, it does impact us physically. Okay, so we have the way to use these to get yes/no answers. We can use these to think of things we love, things we detest, and we can also use these to find lost objects. Okay, this is really fun, by the way. Hang on, I'm just checking my notes to see if there's something I left out. Nope. So I have a cute story to tell you about a child I was working with, and we were using dowsing rods, and I gave the whole lesson as I gave it to you, except I don't make them with the children. I just hand them one of these pairs. And we were finding a lost object. In fact, it was this object right here, this black jaguar, which is one of my power animals. So I hid it in the room somewhere when the children were not in the room. And then I asked the children to come into the room with their dowsing rods and see if they could find the black jaguar. So when one of the children came in, she went right to it. She was able to tap in immediately and connect with her dowsing rods and find the black jaguar. She was only 5 years old. And then a few months later, her mom emailed me and said that they were late leaving the house that morning because the mom had lost her car keys. And her little girl said, "Mom, I know how to find your car keys." And she went and she got her dowsing rods and she quickly found her mom's car keys. So these are tools that anyone can use. They are simple and very effective at helping us tap into energy. So I'm going to give you my lesson in how I help people find lost objects. So if I went into a room looking for a lost object, say it's the black jaguar, okay, I could hold my dowsing rods in front of me, find neutral, and just ask, are my dowsing rods on the wall in front of me? No, sorry, that wasn't even a sensible question. I'm going to do that one again. Take two. Is the black jaguar on the wall in front of me? No. Okay, so now I'm going to turn to this wall over here. Is the black jaguar on the wall in front of me? No. Oh, you can't see me because my back will be to you, but I'm going to ask over here facing the back wall, is the black jaguar on the wall in front of me? And I got a yes. So basically what I'm doing is by process of elimination, discovering which side of the room the object is on. Once I've determined which wall or which side of the room the object is on, then I'll ask, is the object or the black jaguar below waist height. I would have to be facing the wall though, okay? So I didn't, it's behind me and you wouldn't be able to see. But so asking the dowsing rods if the object is above your waist, you'll get a yes or a no. Is it below my waist? You'll get a yes or a no. So based on that, now you've got it's on that wall, it's above the waist or below the waist. You just keep narrowing down what the area that the object might be in, and it will take you directly to where the object is. I find that really cool. I love doing that. Now, as you know, dowsing rods can also be used to find water. And I have not used them as a divination tool to detect water for the sake of drilling, but at one of the spirit camps I did have a group of students just walk around the property that we were on and determine where the water main was leading into the building. And then we went and asked the facilities director at the building, where the water main was and how it came into the building, and the children had found it. So it's really amazing to see that even young children can do work like this. So let's see, what else did I want to share with you about this? Oh, okay. So you can also detect energy blockages in your home or wherever you want to be checking. And I'll tell you about an experience I recently had with someone, a professional dowser, who came into my home with her set of dowsing rods. In fact, I got these from her. I wanted to determine if there were energy blockages coming into my home from outside sources, from outside, because I've done a lot of feng shui work inside my home. But as I was learning from this professional dowser, ley lines can impact the energy in your home, electrical lines, power lines, cell phone towers. There's so much going on outside of our homes that can also impact the energy in our homes. So I had a professional dowser come to my home and detect where there were energy blockages in my home. And that was a really fascinating thing. This is all her thing. I don't really know how she does what she does, but she was just using one of the dowsing rods, and for her, they circle in a clockwise direction. Oh, I'm doing counterclockwise. They circle in a clockwise direction when the energy is positive, and they circle in a counterclockwise direction when the energy is negative. And she can kind of, by using the dowsing rods like I did before, looking for the lost object, how is the energy on this wall? Where is the blockage of energy coming in on this wall? Like, she was able to detect specifically where there were energy blocks coming into my home. And then she used copper wire that were about this long, actually. And we laid them on the floor right next to where the wall and the floor met. And they just kind of disappear in the floorboard there, right next to the molding. You can't even see them. And those little copper wires actually broke up and blocked the energy that was coming into my home that was negatively impacting my space. So it's really cool how you can use these to determine the energy in homes as well, or other facilities. This particular woman also wants to start dowsing schools to see if that can impact the learning environment for children. So anyway, I thought that was really cool. So some people who have children who have difficulty sleeping get their child's bedroom dowsed and see perhaps if there is, like, say the child's bed was against this wall right here. Are there a lot of electrical, is there a lot of electrical energy or circuits or anything directly behind where the child is trying to sleep? Some sensitive children would have difficulty sleeping close to that. And by using dowsing rods, you can detect that kind of energy that may be impacting the child as they're trying to go to sleep at night. So, I have had some really fun experiences with dowsing rods. When I first started learning how to use them, I had godparents who passed away a number of years ago, and I couldn't remember where their gravestone was in our cemetery. We have a really large cemetery in my town. Well, we have a few, but this one particular one is very large. And I took my dowsing rods to the cemetery and I asked my dowsing rods to lead me to the Poirier family plot. And I wasn't specific. And I just said Poirier family. And I ended up being led by my dowsing rods to a Poirier family plot. And that's when I realized I wasn't being specific enough, because I had been taken to a Poirier family plot, but it wasn't their family plot. So then I had to get a little more specific. And again, I ended up finding their plot in the cemetery by using my dowsing rods. But it also gave me a really important lesson that you really need to pay attention to how you ask your questions, and you have to be very specific with them, because if you're too general, you're not going to be able to access the information that you want. So I think, oh, here's another tool that I use with adults in some of my workshops. This is a really fun, playful way to keep playing with your dowsing rods, to develop that trust in your ability to connect with your higher wisdom and understand that you are accessing the information that is in your highest good. So I take a deck of cards, and I'll take like 4 cards out of the deck, and it may be ace 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. I'll just take some cards out of the deck, and I know what the cards are, so I know how to ask my questions. But then I'll shuffle them up face down, and I put them on the floor. I space them out on a floor, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet apart, face down, so I can't see them. And then I'll take my dowsing rods and I'll go stand, I'll set the intention that I'm going to find the 2. So I'll go stand right on top of one of the cards, and I'll ask my dowsing rods, find neutral. Am I standing on the number 2? Yes or no? And obviously my dowsing rods aren't going to respond because, I guess they could respond no. But then I'll go to the next card, and then people shock themselves when they realize that their dowsing rods will tell them when they are standing on the correct card. So that's a fun way of playing like guessing games with your dowsing rods to really help you start developing trust in your ability to access accurate information. So I think that's basically everything I wanted to share with you. So to sum it all up, dowsing rods are a fabulous tool for helping you connect to your intuition, to your higher wisdom, to ask for guidance, sensing energy around you, finding lost objects, just getting answers to yes and no questions. They're really a fabulous tool. And I encourage you to make your own set, because when you make your own set, you're really putting all of you in that. All of your energy is in those dowsing rods. And it's a great tool for you to have moving forward. Oh gosh, I just thought of one more really fun thing to do with dowsing rods. I'm going to add one more thing and then we'll close. So I use these in my programs to help people see how large their aura is. So when I have my class divide up into pairs. So say it's me and a person directly in front of me standing 15 feet away from me on the other side of the room. So I'll put my dowsing rods into neutral position, and then I will ask the person who's on the other side of the room to very slowly start walking towards me. And my intention with this exercise is that when my dowsing rods pick up the energy of my person coming towards me, the dowsing rods will cross. The space between my dowsing rods, the X on my dowsing rods, and my person walking towards me, that's how big their aura is or their personal space is. This exercise is especially great for kids because kids don't really have a concept of how big their personal space is. So that's another really fun way to use dowsing rods. It gives people a visual of how big their personal space is or their aura. And it helps people who are very sensitive to the energy around them, whether they're empaths or highly sensitive people. It helps them understand that they could be standing 8 feet away from somebody and be picking up that person's energy, because now they understand how big our auric fields are, and that person's aura is already in direct contact with their aura, and it can create some uncomfortable feelings if that person's energy doesn't align with the empath's energy. So that exercise of seeing how big auras are is really a great exercise to do with sensitive people, because it provides them with a visual understanding of how big their energy field is. Okay, now I'm done talking. I've covered everything I can think of. I hope you make your own dowsing rods and you have a lot of fun experimenting with them. They're one of my favorite tools. So have fun, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Bye for now.